Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's February 6th. These are your headlines. While coastal ice dwindles, we're still seeing lots of safe ice inland, and the fishing has been amazing. We're seeing pike, we're seeing pickerel, we're seeing largemouth bass, lots of panfish, and lots of trout as well. While we're on the subject of trout, Connecticut stocked a whole bunch of lakes this week with trout and Seeforellen brown trout. Stay tuned for all of that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. First, we're going to talk about the trout stocking over in Connecticut. Connecticut stocked a whole bunch of lakes this week. They covered, they spread the love all over the state. They did a bunch of rainbows and brook trout, but they also did a whole bunch of these brood stock Seeforellen brown trout. Now, if you don't know what a Seeforellen brown is, it is a German strain of brown trout that prefers to live in a lake. It's a lake-dwelling fish. They grow to immense size. They grow quickly, and they are absolutely stunning to look at. I'll put a couple pictures of them up here. And the state has been raising them for, I think it's over a decade at this point. And they've been stocking them regularly, and it's really makes for some amazing fishing. The other thing is you really got to give these guys credit. Whether we're talking about Rhode Island last week or Connecticut this week, these guys are working to make the fishing better for us. They're out there chainsawing holes in the ice so that they can, throw the trout in. And it's making the ice fishing better. It's going to translate to better open water fishing when the ice melts. And we just, want to make sure we give them the thanks that's due, because it's pretty awesome of them to, to put in that extra effort and get those fish in for the ice fishermen. Next thing is the giveaway, which is ongoing. This one we're going to give away a surf howdy that I made for the plug building article I wrote in the February edition. And I'm going to add another prize to that package as well. I got a few Dexter knives from a friend of mine, actually one of our field correspondents, TJ Kopecky, gave them to me. And I figure, let's spread the love. So we're going to give away a brand new Dexter knife along with the custom plug. And this one's going to wrap up on May 28th, so we got a long time. Almost feels like too long in a way, but that's encompassing my favorite transition of the entire year. Going from ice and snow to like the peak of striped bass fishing, all the way through the spring tog season, the sort of ramp up of fluke season. There's just so many options. Not to mention all the freshwater things that go on at this time, like ice out pike fishing, and pre-spawn largemouth bass fishing, and opening day of trout season, and all that stuff. This is just what a great period of time. So make sure you take lots of pictures this year. You might, this spring, you may win something awesome. Send them in to me at danderson@thefisherman.com, or text them to the number on the screen, and just make sure you give me all the pertinent details, like who the person that caught it was, where it was caught, how big the fish was, all that stuff. Get them into me, we'll get you in the report, we'll get you in the contest, we'll get you in the magazine, and you might even win this awesome prize. So get them into me, and we'll see who wins. Moving over to the reports now, as you might expect, this report is about 95% ice fishing. Now, before we get into that, I just want to cover a couple things that I don't want to have to say, every time I mention the ice. We are in a time of transition right now. We've had cold days like today. I'm kind of ducking out of the window over here just so I don't freeze to death. But we've also had some warm days. We've had some rain. We're going to get some snow. And all of these things combine to make ice fishing, a little bit more dangerous. Especially around the edges, especially around like bushes or reeds or anything like that that's kind of coming through the ice. Those little pieces of, substrate, I guess you want to call it, they warm up and they start to, get those little like pockmark holes around them. When you get enough of those together, that makes for a weak spot. So you got to be very careful getting onto the ice. I just drove by a pond on the way here, a freshwater pond that was safe 2 weeks ago, and it has a giant patch in the middle, completely open water. So that's another big warning sign. So I just wanted to kind of say that now, so I have to keep saying it again. You got to watch the edges. You look for places with open water, stay away from those. Another thing to look out for, inflowing water. If you've got a stream coming in or even a stream going out, any place with moving water is definitely a place you want to avoid. And, you know, and you may have kind of questioned why I said snow. Well, the reason why the snow is dangerous is because it hides, you know, dark ice, places where you might say, well, I'm not walking on that. You know, the snow can obscure that. So you always want to make sure you have your spud bar. You want to make sure you're kind of carefully making your way out there. You want to make sure you have your safety spikes around your neck. In fact, I'm going to share one more story. I was talking to Ian from the Goose Hummock Shop earlier this week, and he told me that his friend, you know, went out, I think it was on Hamblin Pond, which is in Barnstable, if I remember correctly. And, you know, the ice looks safe. Guy goes out there, he gets, you know, in an area that's about 8 or 9 feet deep, and down he goes, all the way under. You know, went over, looked up, and had to swim back up to the hole. That's not something I want to imagine doing. Luckily, he had those safety spikes around his neck, and he was able to kind of, you know, pull himself out of there. But he's got a pregnant wife at home, and you know, could have put himself in a world of hurt there. So you definitely want to make sure you're being as safe as possible, because we are in that time of year, even though it's only the beginning of February, where spring transitions are beginning. And the ice can be very dangerous. So just make sure that you're safe out there. Moving over into the actual reports now, we're going to start up in Maine. Up in Maine, unless you're right along the coast or you're in a place where they've got some, you know, really hard moving water, we got a lot of ice up there. We're seeing, you know, 10 to 12 inches of ice on a lot of the places. Some of the bigger ponds, maybe not so big, maybe not so thick. But lots of safe ice up there. I saw Nicole had her personal best largemouth, so congrats to her. We've seen some nice trout coming out. Seen some pickerel, seen some trout. I mean, it's been incredible up there. Drop it down over the border into Massachusetts. Let's check in now with Kevin Huang from Surfland Bait and Tackle.
What's up, guys? Kevin from Surfland Bait and Tackle checking in. Normally I'm reporting from the Merrimack, but you know, I'm in the city today. But you know, back in the Merrimack, if you can find some different coves, anywhere that's a little bit tucked away from the main river, it's frozen over. I mean, with any type of ice fishing though, I will be extra safe, and just, you always have to be cautious no matter where you're at, because you know, it's ice. So I would definitely check if you got a pick, and then always bring your safety picks that you keep around your neck just to be safe. And a lot of the reservoirs around the area, been some jumbo perch caught. I've seen some pictures of some big perch. One of my favorite techniques for perch is little tungsten jigs with a big mealworm, and you drop it to the bottom, and then you count out 1 crank, 2 crank, 3 crank, and you just twitch jig. And it's a phenomenal technique for catching yellow perch, white perch, bass. Any type of fish will take a tungsten jig with a mealworm attached to it. It's phenomenal. So I'll see you guys soon.
Now we'll head down to Boston. We'll check in with Danny Parma from Fish Bucket Sport Fishing.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with this week's report. Not a lot going on this week. Mainly just getting prepared for the Meredith Fishing Derby going on this weekend. This is a Saturday and Sunday tournament, New Hampshire only. And the Fish Bucket crew's heading up to Winnipesaukee, and we're going to try and jig ourselves up a winner. It's one of the only trips that we really get out there on the ice, so we look forward to it every year. Hopefully this time next week I'm checking in with some footage and hopefully some winners. I did have a chance to stop in over at Tomo's the other day. He's all stocked up with some good gear. He's got some new stuff coming in. He's got some old stuff on clearance. You know, if you're gonna go out there and spend some coin on some fishing gear, shop local. I did hear that the guys over at Surfland just opened up. So if you're in that area, stop into Surfland, pick up some plugs, some rods, some rails, stock up. That's what I got for you guys. Stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one.
Heading inland to central Massachusetts, my old stomping grounds. Guys I'm talking to up there, seeing 9, 10, 12 inches of ice on most places. You got a few places that are maybe more towards 7, 6 or 7, but in any case, in any one of those cases, you got plenty of ice for walking on. You got to watch edges, of course, but lots of great fishing going on. We're seeing a lot of largemouth bass coming out of a lot of these central Mass ponds, like A1, where I grew up, over at Chauncey in Westboro, Whitehall, Pratt Pond. All these places that I used to go are putting out good fish right now, putting out good consistent action as well, with perch and pickerel and largemouth bass. Everyone I talk to is just loving this old school winter, so take advantage while you can. You know, I mean, it looks like the forecast is going to allow for, you know, sort of a sustaining of the ice. We might have a little bit of rain, but we got a lot more snow coming in, and you know, just take advantage while you can. Moving west from there, let's check in now with Roy Leyva. Here he is.
Hey Dave, checking in from Western Mass. Pretty much safe to say that a lot of the places out here have 8 to 12 inches of ice, with some places in the hill towns even 15 inches. But I still do urge caution. I was out last week and I went from 8 inches to 3 inches in a matter of a few feet, and it was actually covered with some fresh snow, so it was really hard to tell. So always caution when you're out there, but the fishing is starting to slow down a little bit. I don't have electronics, but my friends who do are saying that they're marking a lot of fish, but the action's kind of slow. And that usually happens mid-season when we have a good ice season the way it is right now. So hoping that ice will stay until March sometime. Always those last 3 to 2 weeks prior before the season ending is always great fishing again. So I'm looking forward to that. But still, get out there. Plenty of fish to be caught. I know guys are jigging up trout and bass and pickerel and pike. All that's doing wonderful out here in Western Mass. Guys are doing really good. So I will catch up with you guys next week.
Now we'll jump all the way down toward the Cape. We'll get into the Plymouth area. I was talking to Pete Belson from Belson's Bait and Tackle earlier this week, and he said, you know, once you get 5 miles off the coast, they're seeing consistently 7 to 8 inches of ice. Lots of guys getting on, lots of guys catching lots of nice fish. The Plymouth cranberry ponds have been very good. You know, all those little bog ponds that kind of go through that entire giant town. Seen some largemouth up to 7 pounds, he said, which is an incredible fish for New England. So congrats to those anglers. Lots of trout coming out of the hot spots, you know, like Fearing Pond, like Little Pond, like the coves on Long Pond. Excuse me. But once you get out onto the Cape, it gets a little bit more tenuous, or is that the word I'm looking for? It gets a little sketchier, let's put it that way. Several of the ponds on the Cape are now showing open water in the middle. A lot of the other ones have open water around the edges. You got to be very, very careful out there. As we highlighted in the intro, we had a story about a guy who fell through the ice completely out on the Cape this week. So you really have to watch it out there. But the ponds that are safe are putting out great numbers of fish. The yellow perch bite has been off the chain. Guys are putting up incredible numbers. I got a picture here of a couple of guys from the Goose that did some serious damage on the perch population in that pond and had a great fish fry afterwards. And you know, that's what's going on out there. We're seeing really, really great pan fishing. That's been the highlight. Also seeing some nice pike coming out of a couple of the lakes out there that have pike in them. The pickerel fishing has been great, and some really big largemouth bass coming out of those spots as well. We have not heard of any saltwater fishing going on. I've heard of a few guys spotting whales from the beach and a bunch of seals, and that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week. Crossing over into Rhode Island, we'll start things off with TJ Kopecky, who's actually down in Florida this week, soaking up the sun. Here he is.
Thanks, Dave. Hey guys, nice to be back. Quick video for East Bay area, a little bit of South Coast Massachusetts, and as you can see, I'm in sunny Florida right now, and conditions here have been really good. There's been some good bass fishing pre-spawn for them. I got on some nice bass. The trout fishing in the saltwater has been really good for the last couple of days. A lot of ladyfish mixed in, and the water's kind of like 65 degrees in some of the inlets I've been fishing in, and I got out in the ocean and I didn't get anything, honestly. the bite's been really slow. There's lots of bait around, but there's no fish on them here. But getting back to the East Bay, ice fishing predominant right now. Most of the ponds that we spoke with last week, Willett Pond, Stafford, Melville, all been stocked. I reached out to my friend Matt just to ask him if he's been fishing up in Willett Pond. He hasn't got back to me yet, but all in all, I think the pan fishing's been really good through the ice, and it probably will continue to be that way right through probably the end of February. Hopefully we can get a little thaw, and we can actually start getting some fishing from the shore for the guys who don't ice fish. But from the East Bay and a little bit of South Coast Massachusetts, we'll catch you later. Tight lines, guys.
Now, the game is pretty much the same in Rhode Island, where there's very little saltwater fishing going on at all. I did check in with some of the head boats going out of Point Jude. I think one boat got out on Friday or Saturday, and they did get some codfish and some other mixed bottom species out around the windmills, but what it really has been, it's just the weather's been terrible. It's windy, and then then either that or it's just so cold that you can't get out there. So there hasn't been a lot of runs made out to the cod grounds this winter. And the main thing you want to do is look for a weekend with good weather, because I know all these guys are going to be rip-roaring to go. So keep your eye on their social media and keep your eye on the weather. You can get offshore and fill that winter freezer. But most of what's going on in Rhode Island is the same thing that's going on everywhere else. We got guys going ice fishing, and they are just loving it. I was getting text messages all day yesterday from Todd Treons. He went and bought one of those little Zebco like Barbie or SpongeBob poles or whatever, and he said it was the most fun he'd had fishing since he was a kid. Just chopping holes in the ice and using that little Zebco and just catching whatever he could catch. He had perch, he had white perch, he had sunfish, and you can tell by the smile the guy's just having a great time. Jeff Sullivan said the same thing. He said the white perch bite has been absolutely incredible. He said this whole week has been incredible. They've had perch, they've had yellow perch, white perch, they've had bass, they've had some trout, and just overall, it's just been incredible. It's just awesome to see all this ice and all these guys taking advantage of it. And while we're talking about Jeff, let's check in with him. Here he is.
What's up, Dave? What's going on, guys? Yeah, I've been jigging. I've been jigging for panfish the last, week or two. It's been consistent. The crappie bite's been really good. The perch bite's been really good. A couple largemouth here and there. Trout bite's been up and down. They're here, they're there, they're everywhere. It's been pretty good. They've been eating the tungsten jigs with the wax worms. I've been, tipping these with all sorts of stuff, little soft plastics and stuff of that nature. Little spoons. I'll bring 2 jig sticks with me, and we'll do that. But this is a 1/8 or 1/16 cast master with perch foil on it. 6-pound braid to a 6-pound fluorocarbon leader of 4 feet. Uni to uni knot connection. But you can run straight mono, straight fluoro. It doesn't matter, in my opinion. I just like braid because I'm just a braid guy. But with that being said, it's been really consistent, Dave. To have ice this long in this part of the season, we're getting towards late ice now. It was a blessing to have ice this year. It switched up things. It threw me a curveball, threw us all a curveball. Because who really saw this coming, Every year I think people say, oh, we're going to have a cold winter, or we're going to have a cold winter, and it's like 55 or 45, and we never get anything. But this year it was actually a winter. It was nice. But yeah, maybe I'll have a couple more trips left in me for ice. I'm on day number 17 in a row on ice. It's been really, really good. And a fun fact and a fun story is I found this gulp the other day that I had since high school. This is from 2004. I still have the date on it. 2004. And it was a full jar, and it was brand new, never been opened, works like a charm. I've been using it for the panfish, and they've been loving it. So if you guys had old gulp that you never opened or you think still good, use it, because I'll tell you what, so that actually saved 2 of my trips this week. So it works, man. Don't throw out gulp. Never throw out gulp unless it's rock hard. But yeah, Dave, it's been a fishy ice season, and let's get back out there. Day number 18 tomorrow. All right, see you guys next week. Later.
And then crossing over into the South County area, it's the same deal. You know, no one's really saltwater fishing. I think most of the salt ponds are still iced over, but not safe. So the striped bass, the holdover striped bass fishery is kind of off limits for now. But the guys that are going 5, 6, 7, 8 miles inland off the coast are doing great. You know, Declan from Beachway Bait and Tackle, again, has been out with the tip-ups, putting some nice largemouth bass on the ice and some crappie and some other species. And, you know, overall, that's the overarching thing really everywhere. But the ice fishing in Rhode Island has been incredible. Moving over into Connecticut, we've got a little bit more diversity in the fisheries there. We have a little bit more open water fishing going on, like up in the Farmington and stuff like that. But still, most guys that I'm talking to are ice fishing, and most of these guys are absolutely loving it. One thing that we are seeing in Connecticut is some striped bass coming through the ice. And we've seen it from various people. I'm sure you've seen it in your social media feeds, guys, you know, pulling little schoolies through the ice on jigging rods and things like that. I've also heard of some really nice fish this week, but I've been sworn to secrecy, so can't tell you more than that, but I can tell you that if you get in the right spot, you get a good chance of getting a really nice fish through the ice. But, you know, the pike bite has been really good, especially in the lakes. So like places like Patchogue or Mansfield Hollow, they are putting out good numbers of pike this week, and we've got some more stormy systems coming through, which usually fires up that pike bite, so you may want to take a day off, you know, as those systems move in, and yeah, you might get yourself a really nice pike that way. The pan fishing has been incredible on the Connecticut River, in the coves like Hamburg Cove or Chapman Pond, or Weathersfield Cove. Any of those spots have been putting out great panfish numbers, and we've seen a few nice pike come out of there as well. I've seen some really nice largemouth bass coming out of central and western Connecticut ponds. And of course, we have that trout stocking that took place this week with the Seeforellens, and have already seen the result with one really nice Seeforellen taken out in Litchfield. Just got that photo today. And just love to see that. Love to see these guys taking full advantage of the stocking and getting out on the ice like that. We're going to run through a few of our field correspondents now, and we'll start things off with Rowan Lytle. Here he is.
Howdy everybody. So definitely looking like kind of a similar situation to the last week, where we're getting a few warm days here and there that are melting up the ice in certain places, while other places maintain good solid ice. Now, the one significant advantage is a lot of trout streams have opened up. Do bear in mind that not all are going to be equal. The more shade they have on them, the more ice they're still going to have, and that shelf ice around the edges is going to be a lot weaker than it's been, so it's even more dangerous. That said, a lot of ponds that are fairly sheltered, and some of the coves still have good solid ice on them. Others are losing their edges pretty rapidly, and if you try and get out there on one of the days that are, you know, above freezing substantially, if the edge is a little weird when you get out, expect it to be worse when you're trying to get off, and keep that in mind. If you don't have a contingency plan for getting off the ice, if it's a little funky and freaky around the edges, then it's probably not safe. So cold weather on the way next week should harden it back up, but definitely a little bit on the iffy side. Still certainly plenty of places to get on, but be mindful, be smart, be safe, and enjoy it. Should still be plenty of good fishing.
Now we're going to check in with Mike Roy from Real Cast Charters.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Getting ready for the upcoming season. Just got new shipment in from Shimano G. Loomis. You can see some of the new gear coming in. Have the Shimano Stradic 4000, Vanford 4000, Trinks 401, and the Saragossa 6000. Now, those are on G. Loomis IMX Pro Blue rods and the GCX rods. Going to get those spooled up with line for the upcoming season. Good opportunity. If you're looking for a good deal, I'm selling a lot of my equipment from last year. So right here, I have some G. Loomis IMX Pro Blue conventional rod, spinning rod, some GCX, and a Shimano Terramar rod for sale. If you're interested, go to my social media page. Jump on that quick before they're all sold out. Going to be heading down to Panama pretty soon. Fish for a whole bunch of species, so stay tuned for updates.
Now we'll check in Westbrook, and we'll talk to Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up, everyone? Matt here from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. We are, into February, so your options are the hard water. Been some really good ice fishing out there. I live by Cedar Lake in Connecticut, and we've got, I'd say conservatively, 6 inches of ice on there, which is pretty cool. A lot of safe ice, a lot of good bites. Trout, white perch, yellow perch, and pickerel always. Bass, all sorts of good stuff out there, whether you're jigging or doing tip-ups. It looks like the ice should be safe here for at least the coming week, but always check, of course, and have your safety gear with you. Beyond that, trout streams, if they're open and not, ice on the fringes, that's always an option. And then for most of us, we're looking kind of clawing and scratching for those warmer days right now. But enjoy it out there. There is a lot of stuff you can do, even if you just want to get outdoors for a few hours. You can bend a rod for sure. And I'll see you all next week.
Now we'll head up to the Farmington River. We'll check in with Derrick Kirkpatrick from Connecticut Fish Guides.
Hi, Dave. Coming to you from my fly tying room again, the office. Farmington's still locked up pretty good. Iced up heavier than most average years for sure. Half the battle is going to be able to find water that is fishable. So you're needing to look towards the heads of the runs where there's more current, and unfortunately that's not necessarily where the fish want to hold in the winter. They don't want to expend a lot of energy, so they tend to get into the softer water, and a lot of that is locked up. But as you travel further upstream, you get warmer water because it is a tailwater. So if you drive upstream, eventually you're going to find a run that's fishable. Now, the other thing you're going to want to look out for is slush or ice. If you have some ice chunks, that's fishable. If you have slush, usually not fishable. Your flies just won't get down. Your drift will be impeded. It's just not worth it. So looking towards the latter part of the day is your best bet, anywhere from like 1 to 3. I think there's a pretty good bite window there right now. I was out yesterday with a client. He got like a 17-inch wild. That was earlier in the day. It was like 9 to 12. So you want to look at the overnight temps. If it's extremely cold, again, that's going to mean possible slush during the day. Now, the good news is that the extended forecast is showing some consistency. So for the next few days to the end of the week, you have some small snowstorms coming through, dumping like 3 to 4 inches. And I think with the 2 or 3 storms that are going to hit us, we're talking that like a little less than a foot. So not heavy snow. That means there's going to be low pressure, then high pressure. There's going to be this up and down throughout these storms. I would definitely focus on the incoming storm part of it. And even when it first starts snowing, if it's pretty light, there can be a good bite window when that happens. When the storm lifts, you're going to have high pressure, you're going to have high wind. And in cold weather and high wind, not a good mix for trout fishing. So into next week, the weather really stabilizes. And that's where I think that the fishing will be a lot more consistent. You're still going to have issues with ice. I don't foresee anything flushing out some of these areas that are locked up real heavy. Usually a rain event or something of that nature, a serious bump in flow will clear all that out. I don't foresee that happening. So you're still going to have to deal with the ice. As far as bugs are concerned, jigs with the fronts moving in are going to produce or can produce low pressure, much like other types of fishing outside of trout fishing and fly fishing. It can go one way or the other. It can create a quick, heavy bite, or it could turn things completely off. So I would try to capitalize and throw a bigger offering, and that will lead you to come in contact with a bigger fish. Bugs are going to be very difficult because it's going to be overcast. Just keep your eyes open for midges hatching and stuff like that. But if I was a betting man, I'd probably bet on throwing the meat. Back to you, Dave.
And we'll wrap things up with the return of Max Finch from Fisherman's World. Glad he's back on his feet. Glad he's feeling better. Here he is.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with another local fishing report. This past week we've seen some northern pike, we've seen some muskie, and we've seen some salmon come through the ice on the Housatonic River up towards the Sullivan's Island and a little bit higher. Guys were getting them on tip-ups and live shiners, and also they got some stripers through the ice, so that was really cool to see. Other than that, the river's been a little harder to fish with all the ice coming down. You know, places to hit are Sunnyside School, and then the sports complex, and there's a bunch of little pull-offs on the side of the river. If you're going to try fishing it, I would definitely, you know, low and slow this time of year, real slow on the bottom, ½ ounce. You know, if we have a lot of runoff or rain or snow, you can go up to 3/4, but you don't want to be dragging. You want to keep it just light enough where you can maintain bottom and still get a nice pop and let the lure go with the current. These fish can get lockjaw this time of year, so you really got to put in your time and bounce around a little. On the freshwater side, a lot of anglers still hitting the ice. We got spikes, stillies, night crawlers, mealworms, shiners all in stock. A lot of people are traveling north to Bantam Lake to get on the pike bite. We've seen some pike over 40 inches. Also some bad bass mixed in. And then around the Norwalk area, a lot of guys are hitting the local ponds and stuff for, you know, panfish and some bass. The Norwalk River's fishing well for trout, and so is the Saugatuck. And then we heard the Mianus had some ice too, so guys were hitting that. And we saw some trout and also some bass come through the ice. The herring fishings are really kind of spotty. You really got to bounce around. Last year, they showed up like towards the end of February, so maybe that will happen again this year. We'll see. I've only heard whispers, a couple here and there out of Stanford, Norwalk area, like Norwalk Cove Marina, and then fishing off Vetch Park. You really got to bounce around, try to find these fish. Try concentrating on the high incoming tides and the high outgoing. Thanks and good luck.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there and do some fishing. Get on that ice before it goes away. The fishing has just been incredible. If you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of all the things we offer. We cover every kind of fishing, whether it's ice fishing, offshore fishing, inshore, surf, kayak, paddleboard, freshwater, saltwater, travel. It's all covered. We do tackle making, rod building, all that stuff. It's $31.95 for a year. You're going to get 12 issues sent to your house. You're going to get 26 digital editions sent to your email from April to November. You're also going to get digital access to all the back issues and all of the other editions. It's the best $32 you can spend in fishing. There's no question about it. But if you head over to the website and you're still not interested, which would be hard to believe, but hey, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.